It's Alanzq versus Sean Dollywall, Annie versus Kaisa.
We have I've seen so much of Alan this weekend. This is my third time covering one of his matches. He's just played absolutely excellently with his Kaisa deck, really understanding his role in each game, knowing how to capitalize from going second and get those extra points and catch up. I'm really excited to see more of him here. I'm curious to see if he's stuck going second again.
Looks like this time around, Alan does get the die roll win to go onto Warrens from the Annie and Reaver's Row from Alanzq. We have seen the Warrens from the Annie over and over again. This is that scrap heap in the main. You side them out for games 2 and 3, but your game 1 is just so potent as the Annie. And Reaver's Row for Alan being on the more low-to-the-ground aggressive build, this allows him to leverage his Kaisa Survivor a lot more to get those draws. And with the smoke screens, he is able to bluff that Reavers so effectively by sending in small units and saying, would you like to go home or would you like to potentially get completely blown out?
Well, the Reaver's Row is also good for Dollywall here in that Vi is one of those units that oftentimes you're forced to play it early and it can be a little fragile, and getting it into a battlefield means it's likely to get crushed. But with the Reaver's Row, you can use it to go in there, they go in and you run your Vi out and protect it, even if you don't have access to something like a Flash or a Fight or Flight.
We do just have these early developments. Survivor from Alan on the second turn. Merchant was the first play from Dollywall. This does mean that Alan is completely tapped out, so this is all up to Annie. What do you want to do? How many cards do you want to be able to cycle through? Because you can have the Merchant move in to the Warrens, get the Conquer, you get 2 of the discard then draw triggers, and accelerated Kaisa for another draw. So with Alan not having anything open, this is exactly the kind of turn that Sean wants to have.
Yeah, going in with the Kaisa first over the Traveling Merchant wants to draw the card from that before deciding any cards wanting to discard, get the most information, know what you need to do over the next couple of turns. Also, Kaisa and the Zon Warrens at least threatening a trade with the opposing Kaisa instead of the Merchant going there and probably just getting eaten.
Yep, and then the Merchant instead can go to Reaver's Row, and if Alan decides to run in there, you can get another trigger from the Merchant when it goes home to try and find the combo pieces that you need.
Yeah, another Reaver's Row good with Vi for Dollywall, also good for Traveling Merchant.
Go, ready up those 2 runes, back over to Alan, going up to 6 on this turn. Really, it's going to be up to what removal spells he has access to, because the unit combat is not looking too favorable straight away, but a Stupefy can help change that.
Yeah, just firing off, starting with the Stupefy before going in. Might as well see what cards you're going to draw before you force yourself into this combat.
Yep, and knowing that Annie on the other side only on 2 runes, you don't have to worry about the Void Seeker, so Survivor is safe to run in and try and make something happen. Question can be, is there just a Fight or Flight from Sean that's going to help out in this spot? Does he want to expend the resources to do so? Is he still worried about a Ray just cleaning up his Kaisa afterwards? But is that still a worthwhile trade?
Yeah, this is the type of situation where if you have the Fight or Flight, there's a lot of things to think about. Am I kicking out your Kaisa? Am I kicking out my Kaisa? Do I think I'll be able to get in with mine later? What if I have a Flash and a Fight or Flight? Now I have a ton of things to think about. If I want to move out my Kaisa, 2 different options there. We're only on the second turn, but there's already so many decisions having to go through their head.
Yeah, especially because Sean has filtered so many cards. So he's kind of helped curate a little bit of this hand to know exactly, hey, what options do I have? And he's given himself a lot of options to consider. It is just going to be a Fight or Flight, and he will pick his own Kaisa, playing around a Ray, dealing with her after the fact.
I think the other thing you had to be afraid of was that Darius. There's already been a Stupefy played this turn. Darius 7 might. If you kick out the Kaisa, but your Kaisa gets eaten by that Darius, that's a devastating start to your game. You're left with a Traveling Merchant against Kaisa and Darius. Not a fight you're happy to be having.
Yeah, the other big thing to look at for the Annie decks is they usually like to keep the Survivor alive as much as possible if they can, because of its ability to draw additional cards. Unfortunately for Sean, this is the worst case scenario, is that Alan has the Falling Star to follow it up, deals with the Stupefied unit and also the Traveling Merchant, and so the Fight or Flight essentially just ends up kind of going to waste.
Yeah, that Stupefy really getting double value. First, forcing a usage of that Fight or Flight, kicking out the Kaisa, then still being shrunk and letting that Falling Star be a 2-for-1. Really, really powerful combo when you're able to use those 2 together.
Yep, and now even the follow-up being a Noxus Hopeful means that there's just 8 might on the board for Alan into nothing from Sean after that turn cycle. Now, of course, Alan down to a single rune, so at worst, Stupefy or Ray are what we're looking at as the range, but Sean still has to find a way to get back on board and start pushing the tempo of points. He doesn't want to fall behind. That's where Kai'Sa can really excel. If Kai'Sa can be the first to 6, then they don't have to worry nearly as much about that Vi Ride the Wind.
Yeah, and Kai'Sa is a deck as well. Alan, lower on time warps than others, but they have a 6-point combo win too. Just have both those battlefields, use that time warp, and get there that way. Using a stack deck here from Sean, possibly leading into a Darius to take out this Kai'Sa. Doesn't have to be too afraid of something like a Stupefy, but a Hextech Ray could cause a trade.
Yeah, and we've seen this a couple of times where that is such a scary spot, and for the Kai'Sa, it's generally worth it to just expend that Ray, let that 2-for-1 happen, but you deny the points, you deny a big threat, really the biggest threat that exists within the Annie deck outside of Vi, and that's more of the combo later that you're worried about. So those Dariuses are kind of the main thing that you have to deal with that prevents you from finding the hold. So if you can get through those copies without losing too many points, you can find a lot of space. And it is going to be the Darius. We'll see if that one rune is a Ray. Alan also wouldn't be excited to expend a Ray because he's already used Daughter of the Void, so he will be deramping in order to cast a Hextech Ray. However, in this Annie matchup, the point total is just so critical, and we actually see Sean not even wanting to chance it and moving towards the Reaver's Row instead.
Yeah, this Darius is a big threat. It is a lot of pressure on Alan to be like, okay, you better not leave any units in this Zon Warrens, because I can always back it out, ready it again, and go and fight whatever you leave here. And there's a lot of pressure to just make sure Alan can't be threatening points in the same way and keeping up with you, because if you can't accomplish a Vi Ride the Wind, Alan will eventually overtake you and beat these battlefields with things like Thousand Tail Watcher.
Yeah, we are going to see Alan awaken, and now it is look at the Reaver's Row, but second Falling Star, critical piece of the matchup to keep this board clear, and is just going to make way for the Hopeful to take the Reaver's Row and leave Alan catching up in points, still a little behind Sean. He's not quite on the full cadence, but just one step behind, and now so far ahead on board as he establishes a Pouty Poro.
Yeah, I mean, the double Falling Star is really tough for the Annie deck. This game we got to remove 2 units with it, then take out a Darius for a massive energy gain. Just getting to be really efficient with those plays, where Annie, normally a deck that gets to be efficient itself by readying those runes at the end of a turn, but hasn't been able to really capitalize on those. The one Fight or Flight that got played pretty much got countered by a Falling Star.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Fight or Flight did nothing. I mean, of course, Sean is playing around a range of cards at that spot when he casts it. Unfortunately, the worst one was the one that was in hand for Alan at that time. And yeah, as you said, there's just not been any value out of the Annie Legend in this game when we've seen throughout the tournament so much value accrued from it over and over again, which is shown why we have 4 Annies in our top 8. But Sean in a certainly tough spot as now we have a total of 10 might on the side of Alan. He still has runes available, enough runes for a Void Seeker to even be the potential case here, which is threatening to some of the normal things that Annie's trying to do. They're trying to play out Survivor, Accelerated, push it in, Seeker deals with it.
I want to point out something Alan did here that was really on top of mind. That Kai'Sa stayed in the Zon Warrens. It didn't run away. That's normally a unit you go in with and leave. And if you go back in, you would get 2 Conquer triggers, the Kai'Sa and the Warrens. But Alan is super aware of Sneaky Deckhand, a unit that's going to come in if there is an open battlefield, and Alan's just like, nope, I'm not giving you that opportunity. I'm blocking these off.
Yeah, he says no sneakies at all, no sneaky points. He says if you want to score, you're going to do it the hard way. And it is going to start with Vi. And now we see Sean thumbing through the trash, deciding, hey, how much of this can I expend? Am I going to Vi Ride the Wind now to actually just get some points and start getting towards 6?
Yeah, this can't be a spot that he's really happy about. It's something sometimes you're forced to do the early Vi Ride the Wind, but it does mean the ability of the later one is much weaker. Going only up to 5 points with the Vi Ride the Wind in this situation, and not even being able to kill both units because of the Reaver's Row. Going to be able to run out the Noxus Hopeful. However, On the other side, that means when the Vi Ride the Wind happens, the Vi will be at the Reaver's Row and has its own opportunity to run away.
Yeah, I think this is super heads up, and great that you caught this as well, right? So because of the Vi Ride the Wind ending in the Reaver's Row, unless Alan has a spell that's going to hit back row or has a spell immediately, he can't deal with the Vi with unit combat. And so at least Sean, while he has to expend the combo early, he's giving himself the out to make Alan have specific answers to deal with the Vi instead of just completely sacrificing it.
Yeah, and another thing you get to think about, Sean, here is that I've already seen 2 Falling Stars. That's normally what really threatens these Vi's that you play and have to leave in your back row. There's a lot less pressure this game to just run it in and do the combo instead of just playing. Maybe there's room for a fair game here. Maybe 1 Acathia Rain, 1 Falling Star left in Alan's deck, and that's not a ton of answers to this base-ridden Vi.
And now he's just considering the math. I mean, as he's already committed to the trash, I imagine that this is always getting cast, and now he's just trying to determine exactly how this turn always plays out into the 3 runes. One of the big things for Sean, we had that interview with him earlier, he started playing the game like 2 weeks ago. He really just picked it up. He is a big TCG veteran. He's been playing forever. He's top 8'd at Fab Worlds. He's an incredibly strong player, but this is a new game for him. He's really excited about it, and he's learning and diving in, but he's trying to take his time. He's trying to learn everything he can about the game.
Yeah, and I said this before the match started, but playing against the Kai'Sa deck is so hard. There is 3 energy up, and the possible combinations of spells Alan can have here are pretty deep. Smokescreens, Stupefy, a Hextech Ray, Void Seeker, a lot of things to think about all at once, and some combination of those could be enough to kill this Vi in one of these combats.
Yep, and here we go. One of the explanations as well is staying there, you get to deny the sneaky, and if you've got the retreat, it's no risk. You're happy to play that retreat, get the extra rune, save the Kai'Sa, and now you can re-accelerate later if you want because of these runes that you've been able to buy over time.
There's an interesting decision here, it seems, for Sean, considering discarding the sneaky deckhand. Knows it's not that good left in this game. Who cares? But now it's, do I back this up to my base or go to the Reaver's Row? Deciding the Reaver's Row, think it's worth the point. But if you are scared of a Void Seeker on Alan's turn and you don't have access to a flash, it's possible you just go back to your base. You're already at 4 points. The even numbers matter way more. So going to 5, maybe not the most important thing.
Yeah, but decides to go to 5. I'm curious if it is exactly that flash that you called out as maybe being in hand, so you're not worried about the play from Alan with a Ray or a Void Seeker. And you don't have to worry about unit combat, as we established earlier. The Reaver's Row actually kind of hurting Alan in this spot, as that Vi might have a chance to just go home safely. There's the Ray. Is the flash in response, or will this land?
I think I saw it, yeah.
Flash.
There it is. So bringing back the Vi, not a huge trash. 4 cards, though, pretty good, enough to fight through most things, especially Alan's current board where there's only 6 might.
Yeah, and this keeps Sean in the lead on points. And Alan, yes, he can conquer both sides, go up to 5, but he's not actually gaining much traction this time. And Sean, because of this on Warren's game, even though he spent 6 cards from his trash, already has 4 more there ready to go to pump this Vi up to at least 7 going into the next turn.
Yeah, I mean, the Zon Warren's game for the Annie deck is so powerful. A lot of your deck is about getting the right combinations of cards at the right time. Cards like Flash and Ride the Wind, there are situations where they do pretty much nothing, and having access to an easy, repeatable way to loot past those and find other things that you do need in those situations, in addition to making those Vi's better, adds so much to the deck.
Looks like they're just maybe asking for clarity on some kind of ruling here, as both players are kind of waiting. So we'll see as that gets established. Nothing in the current board state is very clear on what they would be asking, so it may have something to do with something in the hand or a rules question, or even just oracle text on a card that maybe they were curious about, thinking that maybe in their opponent's hand, and they wanted to know exactly what that card says.
Yeah, never be afraid to call a judge and ask about some cards you may not know. Knowing what's going on, that is the most important thing to do. The worst way is to lose because you didn't know what a card said.
Exactly. So as we take a look just at the game state, Alan 3 to Sean's 5 has the 2 units on board, but the Vi on the other side, Ray expended, so not going to be available to try and deal with the sneaky deckhand or deal with the Vi's total might level going into these next few turns. Alan, we assume, will go up to 5 on this turn. He's got 2 units back. He can easily move them in. Void Seeker, a potential answer, but with so many runes available, it's possible that Alan still has some additional game. We know at the bare minimum, he can accelerate the Kai'Sa Survivor that was retreated on the previous turn. And so from there, the question becomes, how does Sean leverage this 5 all the way to a win? I think 6 is not going to be difficult, but the Vi has already been spent. The Ride the Wind can be grabbed from Annie Stubborn, but if this Vi can be taken down, how does Sean find those last 2 points?
Yeah, I mean, Alan is in a really tight position because of that ability to threaten. This Vi, if there is no tricks about Alan, multiple damage-based removal spells, that Vi can probably take that Reaver's Row, no trouble whatsoever, and then can still threaten to be ran away again. Alan used a lot of damage-based removal this game. Even if he doesn't have any, it's possibly a position where he's forced to bluff it, leave up this energy, threaten, hey, I have Void Seeker, hey, I have Hextech Raid, maybe a smoke screen, just so that Sean doesn't have the free reign of being able to run over these battlefields, because cleaves and other tricks from Annie gives a lot of power there to be able to do that.
And in the hand, we talked about how Alan was lower on Time Warp. I thought he didn't have it in the main deck. I think he might have added it last minute before registering for the tournament because he didn't play him in the skirmish. So slightly different list than his skirmish list that I was thinking about. He's got a Warp in hand. So this may be able to change the math, and he can find a way to circumvent this because he's been able to ramp the runes pretty well this game, considering he's played 2 Falling Stars.
Yeah, it's the great thing about Kaisa is you play a really powerful card like Falling Star, and somehow still the Annie deck has less runes than you.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. All right, move both in as expected. Sean just lets it happen. Back row can be filled. Darius being held by Alan currently. I see a Raven Bloom as well, considering what he can develop back row.
The Darius you play and then have to leave in your base, not always the most thrilling action. And also definitely having to consider that, how much energy do I leave up? What can I pretend I have? What can I convince Sean is still going on?
I think I'm counting 9 runes here. So Darius can be played and still have enough runes for Time Warp on the next turn. If you play Darius, Ravenbloom, if you think that that is enough to push on to the battlefields and then cast Warp, it can work. And I think that's what Alan is looking at. He's looking at how can I set up for a Time Warp victory because I am behind by a single turn here as far as points go.
Playing that Ravenbloom student into the Zonwarns is so interesting into the face of this Vi. There are 4 cards in the trash. The Vi is at least a 7. That's only 6 might in play. However, 6 energy up, a lot of potential to play some spells. This is a situation where it could be Alan is really hoping that this is some amount of bait. You go in with the Vi, you take this battlefield. I have the Darius to kill the Vi after, and maybe I don't have to be as afraid of a Vi ride the win. But I imagine if Sean is aware of that, knows really only needs 6 points, might just end up going to the Reaver's Row, kick the Poro out. It's a tough situation. You do have to be considering, I need to make sure I don't lose to Time Warp.
Yeah, I don't know how much of this is bait from Alan and how much he actually has in this hand to juice up the Ravenbloom student and deal with the aggression. I also know, he's on 9 runes. He only really wants to expend 1 more here to keep the warp up. So how much action does he have that's not going to deramp him out of the warp range in trying to deal with this? So a lot of questions to be answered on this turn from Alan, but he's asking so many questions of Sean to say, what do you want to play around? What do you want to try and deal with here?
Yeah, I'm sure Alan is also pretty thrilled if Sean ends up having to recycle that Ride the Wind. It's one of the 4 cards in the trash. The Annie can pick it back up. There's some good things in that trash, and if they get used in this way, Alan doesn't have to worry about them as much. However, I do think I saw another Ride the Wind in Sean's hand, so not as worried about using that one out of the trash, but Alan doesn't know about that.
All right, big decision for Sean. If he did find that Ride the Wind, if we've spotted that in hand, it is such a big difference. It may be 1 might, but 1 might can be the difference on winning and losing the game in this spot with so many tricks available.
Playing Annie is always so tough. You see Sean flipping from trash to hand, trash to hand. This is also my hand, despite it being my trash. Oh, if I use the Annie this turn, I'm down 4 energy. What even can I accomplish after that? Really needs to get to 6 this turn. If you can't get to 6 here, you're giving Alan an extra turn, and that is way too much in this situation.
4 into the Vi. Deciding the order now. But we saw him grab the trash, pointed at his Vi, he said +4.
Yeah, fixing the order, probably not going to matter in this game with 2 whole turns at most, but you always want to be on top of those things.
Yep, Vi, the only card currently in the game, I believe, where you can just individually order those big stacks because it is one by one that you're actually doing it. Most players, if not all players, do kind of shortcut it at the end and just kind of make the stack and put it at the bottom because that makes a lot of sense, save you a lot of time. But it is going to be 7 might into the Poro. Alan just says that one can come home.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty loud thing that Alan must be like, okay, you definitely have another Ride the Wind.
Yep.
Otherwise, you would not pump your thing and then go into this Reaver's Row in this same way.
Looking at the runes, Sean can go Darius, send it in, Ride the Wind the Vi if he wants to try and brute force through this setup from Alan.
It does seem like Sean is potentially really playing around a Void Seeker or a Smoke Screen here. That 7 value against the Poro does mean those don't remove it. Darius, also another 7, though if that is going to the Zon Warrens, if Alan does have access to one of those spells, it definitely will be that.
Darius pass. Re-ready the runes, Ride the Wind still available.
I mean, Sean did what needs to be done. Got to 6 points. This is the situation. On the board, Alan can't kick the Vi out with the Pouty Poro and then play Time Warp. That is not an option. So something else needs to be done, and Sean will get at least one more turn unless there's a big Accelerate unit to come kick this Vi.
What Alan can do, though, is he can retreat those units back and then warp. And also, because he was at 9 runes and he didn't expend one on the last turn, he has enough to go for the Ray, enter with the Poro, and then warp.
11 runes, definitely different than the 10 that I was counting, thinking of that Darius we had spoken of last turn. My brain shortcut that he'd used it,
course,
but yes,
yeah.
Having that 10 here, huge. I imagine this is going to be a pretty swift end, giving Sean a chance to think if he wants to do anything, fight or flight this Poro out, but that's not really going to matter in this situation in the face of the Time Warp.
Yeah, the question really becomes, do you Ride the Wind here and push your Darius in, reconquer, go to 7, send the Poro home, and hope that it's enough? But he has to think about, is Time Warp in a range of something that he's willing to play around? I think he would have been more aggressive last turn if he wanted Time Warp to be in his range. And now I'm wondering if he sees the writing on the wall that this may just be a warp in game.
Yeah, trying to think of, I certainly can't beat your perfect hand. So what of your hands can I beat? Well, if it's Time Warp, I think I have to do the Ride the Wind. If it's not Time Warp and it is a pile of Accelerate units or more removal, what is the best way to try and fight through those? This Darius, really important with that Vi in the trash, but it seems we let it happen and there's the
Shows it, Alan reveals the warp, and he gets game 1 here in our first match in the top 8. In the top 8, as Sean Dollywell back against the wall. Annie on the play on Arena's Greatest against Alanzq, who has gone for Candlelit Sanctum as the second battlefield. I know Alan likes to find a neutral battlefield that's not going to ever really hurt him against his opponent, that he can have whenever he knows he'll be on the draw.
Yeah, getting in here with the Pouty Poro as the first play, much less fragile to that Falling Star in the first game. Traveling Merchant getting cleaned up really easily. Definitely something that is nice to have for Sean.
Yep, double Pouties on the board, 1 for each player. Now up to 4 runes for Sean, but this is always where you can kind of look for that sneaky deckhand to gain value, get a conquer with your 2, and then deckhand up to those 3 points already. And Candlelit Sanctum, I mean, Sean, this is going to be nice for him as well. You are playing a deck that is combo-oriented, and you are still looking for those pieces. And while you don't have the filtering of Warrens, Sanctum allows you to filter in a similar way.
Yeah, I could believe that the Candlelit Sanctum is actually stronger for the Annie deck than the Kaisa deck. You're looking for such specific cards. Part of what makes the Annie deck, the Kaisa deck so good is all of your cards are pretty equally powerful.
And it is just going to be that sneaky deckhand for Sean. He goes up to 3 straight out the gates, and it's up to Alan to start to answer back and claw back some of these points. He's not behind in point cadence yet, but seeing as how the sneaky deckhand is that quick accelerate, get the points, usually you're going to fall behind in these spots.
Yeah, I think you can get a good read on Alan's hand here. Did not have a Hex Tech Ray, very likely to have played it there, and I think that means that Sean knows, okay, I don't have to worry about that one for at least a little bit or until you get some more cards in your hand.
All right, Alan pushes the Poro, says pass, offers the trade. Sean happy to oblige.
Potential opportunity for an accelerated Kaisa to go in, but a Void Seeker here could be really good from the other side.
Yeah, devastating even if it comes out from Sean. It's not the Void Seeker, just a flash to bring back the deckhand, but can allow it to pivot over to the Sanctum again, score again, get another Sanctum trigger for Sean. So I think he's relatively happy with how this turn played out, even though Alan will get a score and a draw.
Alan had the option to do this fight in the other direction. Send the Poro into the deckhand, then try and send the Kaisa into the Poro. However, if that had happened, this cleave on the deckhand would have gotten a Candlelit Sanctum trigger. Instead, that doesn't happen, and I think Alan knew this was a possibility.
All right, and here is one of the sideboard pieces from Annie. I'm surprised this one came in. I actually didn't realize they were liking the Draven in the Kaisa matchup, just trying to have a big guy. And the fact that they've scored 4 points already means Sean does have this Draven showboat at 7.
Yeah, the game you're on the play, you get to have that Arena's Greatest. It's so likely the Draven gets to be above a size that Falling Star is going to kill very easily. You get to keep it in your base. You get to use it when you're ready. And it's kind of another unit you can do some Ride the Wind tricks with. It's very large. If you're able to sneak it in on their turn when they move in off your Ride the Wind, you can get a nice extra point that they were not expecting.
Yeah, and it makes this awkward for Alan, right? He plays out the Darius. If he wanted to send in Darius to the sneaky deckhand, he's just feeding it to Draven. So he just plays it and passes to keep it back to help maybe deal with the Draven later. But that just means Sean is just going to 6 here, and this game is very likely just a blowout. It is just Annie on the play. Arena's Greatest found the deckhand. It is hard to beat this as any deck.
The tough part about having to concede these points is that the Draven does just get bigger. Not only are you more likely to lose, but if you couldn't answer the Draven before, it's not like it got better for you.
Yeah, just showcasing why this is the premier aggro deck in the format with Annie. It's always fun in Riftbound to think about these TCG terms of the different styles of decks, because just due to the battlefields and scoring 2 points a turn, they don't fall into those categories so easily. But I would say I can comfortably call Annie an aggro deck.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to be an aggro deck in a game where you can't really score more than 2 points. But cards like Sneaky Deckhand give you that extra point early, and things like Ride the Wind can allow you to score points on your opponent's turn, letting you break that 2-point rule in ways that most decks can't.
Yeah, exactly. As we do move forward, it is just going to be shoving the Draven into the Candlelit Sanctum to go to 6. And I think for Sean, it's now, all right, well, I'm getting more Candlelit Sanctum triggers. I just need to look for that Ride the Wind and the Vi. If he has 0 pieces, then this game still kind of has some legs to it. There's still some interaction that Alan can do, but he has to be able to not only get the points himself, but deny the 2 points from anything else that Annie does. It's not just Vi Ride the Wind that is good at scoring points. There are Dariuses in this deck. You can have the cleave setups. You can still just push something with Fight or Flight and then run onto the point.
Yeah, I just really want to say how genius Darius feels in this matchup right here. Or Draven, I mean. Darius needs some cards to fight through it. It's a 9. Darius only a 7. Has to commit something like a Cleave or a Smokescreen or whatever to attack through the Draven. But the Annie deck's so good at just sneaking its unit out. You have to spend a spell, you have to go in, but then, okay, I have a flash, I'll run away, and then run back in and kill your Darius, or Fight or Flight my thing out. Getting to, there you go, pick up that flash. Protect that Draven, so even if Darius plus something is on the table, this Draven is not getting removed here, outside of something like a Cathian Rain.
So, and the beauty of this, you call out how good the flash is with the Draven. The beauty of Annie's stubborn grabbing flash is he says, hey, Alan, look at this flash. Now, if you would like to send your Darius in, you do have to buff it over my Draven, or I'll just stay. And if you don't buff it over, then I just get to deal with your Darius. And if you do buff it over, here's the flash.
Right, and because Sean is now threatening both these battlefields, if Alan commits many resources to even make that attack into the Draven good in the first place, that just gives so much less power to fight back on the return attack, either battlefield. I mean, Draven's a 9. Send 1 unit into the Arena's Greatest, it's going to be a 10, and that's going to be a giant monster.
Yeah, and you call out the Acathian Rain, now we're just beyond it. You know, 9 and 3 on the Annie, these are awkward breakpoints for that Acathian Rain to come through. 4-9, you have to put 5 of the 6 uses of the Acathian Rain to get in there. Last turn, it would have just been the 4, which would allow you to kind of sweep up some of the other units. But even at this point, your biggest removal tool is not really enough to help deal with this. You'd need unit combat to beat the Draven, and Sean just picked up a flash from his trash.
Yeah, Alan really in the squeeze of, I feel like I have to leave up spells to, you know, posture that I'm not going to lose when you get to move your stuff in, but I'm also behind on board. I need to play these units. I need to grow my own situation. And you get into one of these places where you're looking at your hand, you have so many cards, 7 cards in hand, you feel like you have all the options, but there just maybe isn't a way to play them all fast enough.
Yeah. There is the cleave onto Darius, so as we talked about having to commit early, you will need to still play a second card to push the Darius to a high enough might to push over the Draven, as currently it would just be an 8 into 9. What Alan can do is send it in and then cast a spell to re-ready it after the move so he can move the Darius back after. The problem is that Sean is at 6. So that doesn't actually end up helping you when normally that would be a really nice play that you can make. Sean has just been way too fast.
Yeah, this Darius is going to need to hold. That's not one of its strong suits normally. It is a much better card on the offensive, but just because there are these extra units in the base and this Draven's going to get sent back to the base, you got to be able to stop some of these. And you don't have a lot of energy to do it otherwise if you're not including this 5 might body.
Yeah, he sends the Darius in. It looks like Alan not even bothering to show the ready Darius because it's just going to stay in that Candlelit Sanctum and attempt to hold. He knows the flash is coming, though. Sean just going to respond there. Stupefy gets to resolve. Alan going to draw a card. And Sanctum trigger to see if he can find anything else.
Probably not a huge deal. Sean does need to pay for said flash.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that is true. I don't know that that's going to come up, but they will notice if it does. Just a moment of both players knowing exactly what spell was going to be cast and that it was everything was going to happen there.
You know, they're shortcutting a lot of stuff. Everyone knows what's going to happen, and sometimes it's just what happens when you know who you're playing against.
Now Alan considering, can he move the Darius anywhere? I mean, the answer is really no. It's just there's no way that moving it back, I just don't feel like you're going to be able to stop Sean from double conquering without attempting a full hold.
There was a world where if Alan has a Hextech Ray and a Void Seeker, you can move the Darius back, let Sean conquer with the Draven, and then remove the other 2 units and not
That's
allow.
fair, yeah.
But that doesn't work against Ride the Wind or another sneaky deckhand, or even something like a Gust on the sneaky deckhand to return it to hand and replay it. A lot of things that would make that just a play that doesn't really work out. But, you know, Alan's in a rough spot. It is one of those situations where you see your opponent has 3 cards in hand, and you kind of have to create for yourself a, okay, if it's what 3 cards could it be that I could maybe beat, I have to pretend it's those 3. That's how I'm going to play this game.
Yeah, well, now it can be anything because it's a stacked deck, and so Annie is going to be taking the pick of the top 3 cards of the deck to see which one is best. Sean picking very swiftly. Have to imagine it is a piece that he has been looking for in this game, or at least one that can make this conquer relatively trivial, as he does still look through. I mean, this is 9 might Draven, so it's up to 14 total might on board. Realistically, the deckhand just tries to walk into Arena's Greatest to see what's going on there, see if Alan is going to expend any spells.
Yeah, you can assume you're going to be able to get that first point, bring that Draven up 1 point higher into a 10, and then you have to go through those permutations of what could Alan have that could blow me out. Okay, 3 energy. I think the 2 best things possible are a Stupefy and a Smokescreen. That's -5 on the Draven, brings the Darius up to a 7. Maybe too hard to get through, but if Sean has something like a Fight or Flight, it's going to be really hard for Alan to beat through that in any way.
And I have to think off the stacked deck, Ride the Wind, Fight or Flight. These are the cards that I'm expecting were found. And he has to go on just kind of a, a little fact-finding mission. Got to send in the sneaky deckhand, see what spells, see if there will be a flinch. This is another way you can send in a sneaky deckhand, is play it from hand.
Yeah, it's kind of like your first one in play. It's like you play it accelerated to your base instead of to the battlefield.
As we do have the final game. It's their last battlefields, but on the play, Arena's Greatest, this time for Kai'Sa, and the Dreaming Tree is the last one remaining for Annie. Both of these decks do love the Dreaming Tree.
Yeah, both these decks do love both battlefields. I mean, Annie is a deck that is about getting that 6 points and achieving that combo, and normally when you're on the play with a deck like Kai'Sa, you're like, yeah, this point is really good for me. But this is a situation where, ooh, maybe I'm giving them that 1. If they have a good start with a sneaky deckhand and start getting points on the board, I might be in trouble. Dreaming Tree, also good for Alan. Stupefy, draw 2 cards. Really powerful thing to do. Both decks, cleave decks. Interesting situation where fighting over what these battlefields do to the game is going to be really important to who wins.
Yeah, the retreat can be very valuable because it actually draws a card, even though it's something that you're not as happy with usually as Kai'Sa in this matchup, but now it gains some additional value, and I wonder if Alan brings them back in. I think I saw one in his hand, but it looks like he is going to ship it back. And I think he just needs to mull 2 because I did not see a 2-drop for Alan. This can be disaster if Kai'Sa misses the 2 going in, and especially if a deckhand is found. It can be salvaged a little bit if you do have the Ray to answer the deckhand, so at least you don't have the 2, but you have the response. And we'll see what gets found, but to kick things off, it looks like a smoke screen drawn.
I saw Alan
just a pass?
I saw Alan peel his top card with the face of someone who knows they need something good, and it was just a smoke screen. It immediately washed over his face of, I am in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, pass to kick things off. 3 runes for Sean. Is there the deckhand? And is the Ray there to answer it if it is? But it looks like just 2 runes being held by Sean right now. Might just be something like a Poro to kick things off once again.
Starting by saying that Arena's greatest, maybe potentially a little stronger for Annie than for Kai'Sa. It definitely risks doing that if you fail to play something on your first turn as the Kai'Sa player.
We do have stack deck. Just going to draw. Maybe Sean also missing a turn 1 play. We'll see if that was just kind of digging for something deeper, but that is going to be a merchant.
I'm sure if you're Alan here, you're like, oh, I'm so glad it's just a merchant, not a sneaky deckhand, not a Noxus hopeful, not something that's harder to answer.
Second smoke screen pulled off the top from Alan, and it is going to be just Kai'Sa played, having to hope that this can do enough early on, but that is going to be seeding a lot of pressure over to Sean's Annie.
Likely doesn't need them immediately, but Alan has failed to find any mind runes. If we end up getting into a situation where we need to cast both smoke screens, there's maybe a world where we're unable to do that. Not likely, but something Alan does have to be thinking about while he's sitting there.
Heavily considering on this turn. Can always start with a merchant move to dig for more, but a lot of options in hand. See the Darius, some of the bigger threats ready to go. But the Darius is something that at least Alan will have that answer to with the smoke screen. It can help a lot in this matchup. It is just going to be an accelerated Kai'Sa into the Dreaming Tree. He's got the flash that can help draw a ton of cards as he starts out with a draw from the Kai'Sa.
We saw this game 1 with Sean choosing to accelerate the Kai'Sa before moving in with the Traveling Merchant, really valuing maximum information of cards in hand before having to decide on a discard to that effect.
Is going to be 2 more runes, only 1 blue. With the double smoke screen in hand, something to look out for. Will have more coming up, but on this turn, if it is a card that he wants to deploy, using the Kai'Sa ability is one way. That is going to be a cleave on the Dreaming Tree. Get a draw, try and push over the top.
This is a pretty good setup for Alan. If we see a flash or a fight or flight here moving out that Kai'Sa, I believe Alan has a Darius that can be played and just run into the other battlefield to take out this Traveling Merchant. And now we are out of runes on Sean's side.
Yep, fight or flight just to save Survivor. See this time and time again. This also has the additional text when saving Survivor, this time of drawing a card, being on the Dreaming Tree.
Yeah, this is a game both players going to have a ton of resources. Kai'Sa's on both sides, Dreaming Tree going on. Got the Traveling Merchant making sure the card flow is going really well for Daliwa. That is something that really incentivizes and pushes for the person who is using all of their energy and playing all of their cards every turn, which is where Alan struggled to start.
Just as it's not on the screen yet, the point should be 3-2 as of now. Sean in the lead. Darius going to come in ready. Called out this could be the easy response if Kai'Sa had been pushed back, but this is also just allowing an easy cleanup of the Merchant and for Alan to push up to 3 as well.
We do have Alan at 2. It is very possible that the Arena Greatest trigger was missed and Alan didn't get his own point in his bit of sadness of not having a 2-drop. That would be an extra brutal layer to this whole thing.
Would be a nightmare. We'll see if we get confirmation on that going forward. As it's back over to Sean with Alan shields down.
A cleave for Sean here would be really great. Allow you to move in with your Kaisa, draw a card off the Dreaming Tree, conquer over the other Kaisa, draw another card, really push that advantage of not only am I up on points, I'm up on cards and battlefield presence. Without something like that, maybe a bit of a tougher combat. Maybe you have to trade Kaisa for Kaisa. Not the most thrilling thing, but if you can't get over the top of these other units, you certainly don't want Alan being able to bully you around with keeping them and getting points.
Sean considering pushing in. I see a couple of Darius. I think I see 2 copies of Darius in hand. It's 1 or 2.
I think there are Dariuses, but no cleaves or stack decks. Can't get them accelerated this turn. A bit of a clunky hand despite having a lot of filtering and card draw going on.
Yeah, felt like nothing really ties it all together. Can just develop a Merchant. There's a Vi, it looks like, as well. Sneaky deckhand. Some of these small units really unhelpful against the board of Alan.
I do see a Gust, which is a 1-cost play, but you can't play it on this board, unfortunately, for the Darius. So close to being able to make a really strong play with Darius here, but just a little bit away.
Yeah, and for Sean, he just says, okay, well, I have these sneakies. I have to do something, so I'm just going to trade Kaisas so that I can get the sneaky deckhand into the Dreaming Tree, and it will just overall be a development turn. Likely to drop maybe just a 2-drop to follow up, and the Darius will stick around for Alan.
Now, it does have the Gust, so if the Darius, moves back to base, 2 spells, tries to go into the Dreaming Tree, can always Gust your own sneaky deckhand back to threaten the other battlefield that is maybe left open.
Yeah. To Gust it back and draw a card, very valuable in these spots. Often used against your opponent as a tempo piece in these anti-decks, but always have to remember, there is the ability to use it on your own units. We often see that through Annie's Stubborn to actually get another spell off of that card.
Also, just yet another way to keep those ever-valuable Vi's useful and safe when you have to send them to the battlefields early.
100%, as we do have Ravenbloom's Student going to be committed to the arena's greatest. Darius going to come home. Second card will ready it. And it may be exactly what we expected to see. Darius is going to be increased to 10 might there. Moves into the deckhand. Sean has to decide if a Gust is worthwhile to trade it for another card.
I think if you're Sean, you can have a pretty good guess that Alan doesn't have another card to play this turn, because Alan just cleaved before going to the Dreaming Tree. Had to do it to ready up that Darius, but if there was another play coming, absolutely would have chosen to do that first, move in, and be able to draw that card.
And this is where the smoke screens start to come into play. We talked about how maybe Sean's hand is Darius heavy, and so setting up for the Darius turns where he tries to send in and conquer over Alan's Darius Treferian and Alan's Student. Those smoke screens are massive at dealing with Treferian as a threat.
Yeah, I mean, -4 might, a huge amount of might. A Ravenbloom versus a Darius with a single smoke screen is a trade. You don't even need anything else to be going on, and that's a trade I'm sure Alan is really happy to be making now, let alone if there's a second spell like a Stupefy or something that is cheap and easy and costs you very little.
Alan scores the Dreaming Tree up to 4. Behind cadence of Sean, but this time he gets to keep up 4 runes with action, holding both battlefields. And the smoke screens drawn back to back early on in this game. This is their time to shine to try and show why they're in the deck.
A lot of energy and a lot of options here for Sean. Do you play that Darius? Do you take an action to get in there? Are you afraid? Alan left up 4 energy. That is a lot of tricks possible. Again, thinking of Void Seeker, Hextech, Smoke Screen, Stupefies. Darius on Alan's side could become a 7. Ravenbloom Student might be a 3, a 4, or even a 5 if Alan's hand is really high on cheap spells.
I love this from Sean. You send the Merchant first and say, Alan, show me a spell. Because this Student won't get stronger unless you show me the spell now, and it can leave room for that empty battlefield to be reconquered by something like a sneaky deckhand that was bounced back. And Alan, we know there's the smoke screens. You kind of want to hold that off. If there was a Ray, you'd maybe expend it and keep up 1 smoke, but in this spot, you can't afford to flinch and use a smoke screen to try and defend that Student.
Yeah, I feel like that attack gave Valoe a lot of knowledge about Alan's hand. If it was a Stupefy, Alan probably just plays it. It's so cheap, so easy to do, and if you win that combat and your Raven Bloom lives, great. You really are able to block the sneaky deckhand you know is in the hand. So, since you know Alan knows, you have the sneaky deckhand, anything that would keep you from being able to play something that battlefield, really massive.
All right, Darius gonna get played. Vi gonna get played. Only one rune left, just gonna go into Arena's Greatest. Not even going to bother with Alan's interaction. Says, you know what? You've got 4 runes, I'll respect it. I'm just gonna try and score this and call it good.
Yeah, I mean, my Darius is a 7. You might have a smoke screen, that would be really bad. You might even just have a Void Seeker, but that would give you a trade and allow you to use these runes in your Daughter of the Void in a way that I've now forced you to just not spend your energy. Leave those cards in your hand, let me get back to being ahead. At 5 points, not the magic 6 number, but every point does matter.
This is the scary thing, though. For Alan, I think he's happy anyway with how that turn played out, because he goes to 5 with Darius on board. Play 2 cards and you can pivot over towards the Arena's Greatest and try and deal with Sean's Darius. Now, Sean does still have the 3 runes up. We saw a Fight or Flight in hand. That can be used defensively in a spot like this to try and prevent Kai'Sa from going to that magic 6 points. This game, this matchup, is a race to 6, no matter how you slice it. Usually Annie can't stop Kai'Sa if she gets to 6 first, and Kai'Sa definitely can't stop Annie if Annie gets to 6 first.
Yeah, Fight or Flight here, definitely a huge deal. There's not an easy way for Alan to really play around that outside of the second Darius. Starting with 1 cleave. Let's draw my card before I move out of here. Might as well get it right now. Then gets to back out and then play that second card, letting that Darius go in. Now is a 10, really forcing some type of Fight or Flight or Flash to protect from Sean's side.
Darius gonna go home. What is the second card? Icathian Rain. This will deal with everything on the board.
Yeah, I mean, Annie is a deck that doesn't really have a ton of recourse against Icathian Rain. You can move your units from battlefields, but you can't even Gust of Vi if it's in your base, even though it is a reaction. It only hits battlefields. This is a spot that is exactly how Alan wanted to set all of this up, scoring, going to 6, threatening the win next turn. Can do the same Darius trick again.
And this is where Sean says, you know what, no, I can't let you get there. I have to expend this Fight or Flight just to buy myself time because Rain has completely wiped out his board. His Vi is gone, he's lost his Darius, but he still has a decent grip of cards, and now he might still be able to push to 6 before Alan can if he's got the sneaky deckhand.
Really smart usage of the Fight or Flight, really aware of how the game is going. You know, it is often a card you are using to protect your units, but also the game is about the points. Sometimes you just have to use it to say, I need to protect 1. This is the one that matters. You don't go to 6. I'm going to go to 6. We both know I have this sneaky deckhand from this Gust earlier, and now the pressure is back on Alan.
Yeah, and looking at the hand, I thought I saw another sneaky deckhand as well. There might just be the opportunity for Sean to get double sneakies out and keep the Flash available to move them back, try and keep some more pressure on the board, or even just play out Annie, go for something like a Fight or Flight and see if you can win off a hold if Alan misses on the removal. He's going to start with Annie. We'll see what card he grabs. I feel like Fight or Flight is an easy
Putting that
to consider.
Annie into the battlefield definitely makes me think Fight or Flight is a likely choice. Just getting a stack deck, though, possibly as something else here to help protect. You have 2 units there. That's not going to beat the Darius in combat, but that's claiming, okay, I'm going to answer your Darius, so you need 2 removal spells to get these out of here.
Holds the stack deck, not going to cast it on that turn, keeping 3 runes up, threaten Void Seeker, threaten more. At the magic 6, but no Vi in hand, no Darius in hand, none of the big units that Sean would need to actually finish the game. So as much as the race to 6 has been won, the game is certainly not over yet. Not being able to find enough draws off the Dreaming Tree so far to get there and assemble the combo, but there's a Flash in hand and 2 units there. That's going to net another card.
Could also see something potentially if there's a Ride the Wind in hand, if Darius is forced to go into that Dreaming Tree, you're maybe able to sneak that 7th point by moving over and forcing Alan to have an answer to that battlefield, or you don't hold for the win.
Yeah, and the way the game has gone, the smoke screens, complete bricks, not able to actually find any purchase that can be great into the Darius, but Sean has played around them beautifully, never going into combat with Alan when there are runes up.
Yeah, really playing this with full knowledge of the game plan. I want to get the points. I'm not about beating you in combat and destroying your Darius. I don't care about your Darius. I care about points, and I'm going to play to those and never let your cards be maximum value.
Now Alan taking his time, looking through the trash for Sean, trying to see what cards could be available at this 3-rune total. What does he have to play around? How can he still hold on to win this game?
We've seen a little bit of a lot of the tricks here. We saw a fight or flight. We did see a flash. You know that Sean chose not to pick either of those up. So you got to imagine there's some piece of another one of those in hand, because if there wasn't a fight or flight in hand, there's such a high likelihood Sean would have just picked that up with the ante. Instead, it's like, no, I think I have most of the pieces. I just need to find stack decks to make sure I can close this out.
All right, Falling Star. That can deal with both of the threats currently on the board. Flash won't matter, but it will give Sean a card. Flash is no longer a useful card for him. Drawing something on the top, much more valuable. Up to 6 for Alan with the Darius into Dreaming Tree. Stack deck just going to be played on the showdown, being rune efficient.
Gotta cash that in while you can. You gain a lot of information. You know your units are dead. You know, I probably have to win this turn. Alan's going to 6 and I can't stop him.
And now we talked about how those smoke screens have been dead for much of this game. But going into this final turn, that is representing -8 to whatever tries to go into the Darius, plus the ability to send Darius up to 7 by playing 2 cards on the turn. So it opens up a possibility where, depending on how big this trash is, which is rather large, that you can actually still deal with a Vi Ride the Wind.
The trash looked to me to be about 12 cards. That's only a 15 on the Vi. That's a really close number. If there's a couple more cards there,
that would tie a double smoke screen.
And we talked so much about how important, how Kai'Sa can't beat a Vi Ride the Wind with a big enough Vi. And Alan might be setting up to beat exactly that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel bad about saying you can't beat it, but there's just some exact combinations of cards that get there in so many different spots. This Kai'Sa deck's so resilient against even decks that are designed to handle it, to beat it.
I really want to call out Alan here and the resilience of this game. Started off with a hand that was not that good, did not make a play on turn 1 while going first, while bringing your own Arena's Greatest, and Sean had the sneaky deckhand. But this game is now 6-6 with Alan threatening the win if Sean can't figure out how to answer this Darius or put a win of his own on the table. And that's despite everything. Showing a Vi Ride the win, and Alan didn't
says
flinch.
do it.
Yeah, show me.
Alan says do it.
Let's go through the motions.
Yeah. Alan said play it. Make it happen.
We might see Sean have his heart broken here. He definitely thinks he had the game won in that moment, or maybe just wanted to see what could happen. That looks like...
Yeah, Alan said show me. Alan said do it. Sean's like, are you sure? Is this game not okay?
Yeah.
All right.
You know.
And it's top 8. Even if you don't have it, Alan, you make him do it.
I got 7 runes.
Make it happen.
7 runes. I can play so many things. Let's, 3 smoke screens.
There's the first one. Alan says, you know what? That's fine. Hey, you can have the first one.
There we go. Plus
first
14.
one's free.
I imagine we're going to see this Ride the Wind eaten as well to make it plus 13 or 15.
The 2 smoke screens is 8, but he's still got runes on top of that.
Right, another 3 runes. A Void Seeker is enough, while not to beat the Vi, but to cause a trade, stopping Sean from winning the game here.
And Sean considering if he can actually play any more cards.
Yeah, what are the possibilities? You have 7 energy. How many cards are in your hand? A lot of things to go through. What are the permutations that can beat this? There's not a ton of them, but we do know Alan has 2 of those smoke screens, and that is what you need to get started on this math.
Start with Void Seeker on to Darius. It's going to draw an extra card.
1 more into the trash, plus 1 more to that Vi.
Vi goes in.
We say, this is it. All right, plus 16. She's a 19. 2 smoke screens and a Darius. That's going to be 15. Need another 4. And for Sean not to have a cleave or anything like a fight or flight.
Let's see how it starts. This is top 8. This is advancing to top 4 on the line. So much money at each increase from here on out. Fighting for 2 days, long, grueling days of Riftbound. Alan, a Legends of Runeterra world champion, trying to show his stuff in another Riot TCG, whereas Sean, the TCG mercenary, coming to a new game that he's so excited for to see if he can do it here as well. On the Annie deck that he and his team cooked up over the last 2 weeks that they believe is the best in the format against the Kai'Sa that's proven to be the best across Origins so far.
Alan just has to do the math so many times, has to make sure this is the situation. There's the first smoke.
-4. Take it away. Smoke. -4. Ready the Darius up to 7. Currently 11 on this Vi. 4 more might difference to make up.
Third smoke screen.
Number 3.
Oh.
And that will reduce the Vi to 7s even. And I saw a Stupefy in the hand of Alanzq. The question is there action from Sean Dollywall? 2 runes remaining. It's not over yet. As he allows the trade to come through, or he pass action, focus can come back to Alan.
This is absolutely wild. Alan played those smoke screens so close to his chest this whole game, had them from the start, and we said it right at the beginning. Maybe this situation comes up. Found the 3rd smoke screen. That's the only way this breaks down here.
And Alan lets the trade go through, even with the Stupefy in hand. I'm not sure the rest of the cards, but just a Poro from Sean.
Alan afraid there of a cleave. If he cleaves, I believe Sean has a cleave, he needs to bluff the Hex Tech Ray. Can't use the Stupefy to try and blow out.
Now he's found the Ray, so if Poro just tries to run in and end the game, he at least has an answer. But is there a unit for Alan to now try and win? There's a Darius.
That's one of the best ones. It's hard to have something bigger than that. That plus the Ray on this Poro means it's really tough for Sean to win here, even with an accelerated unit of his own.
Stupefy plus Ray in Alan's hand to deal with this. We still have some Riftbound to play. Vi Ride the Wind, Eat Your Heart Out does not get it done into the Kai'Sa that has historically been unable to answer that combo.
Sean thought the same thing. He flashed the Vi, Ride the Wind, said, hey, are you dead? Can we move on? Can I go to top 4? And that is not what happened here. And you can see he can't believe that this game is still being played.
And the Ray will answer the Poro straight away. Sean, no answer. Very few cards remaining. And card for card, Annie, a lot less power than on the other side, but it will be a deckhand.
Deckhand meaning needed that Hex Tech Ray to not lose here. A
Darius
going in!
And Sean Dollywall, even after the Vi Ride the Wind is answered, the call of Darius from the top of the deck, he's able to take Annie to the top 4.
I'm standing by live. I cannot believe the game I just watched featuring Diwali on Annie. Please explain to me how you're feeling right now in this moment.
Like I was sitting there thinking like, okay, I'm gonna make my Vi as big as possible, 19. And before I went for it, I was thinking, okay, if he has like double smokescreen and like the Hex Tech Ray, I'm still okay. If he has triple smokescreen or like double smokescreen, Stupefy and a bolt or something, then I could lose. I'm like, it's possible because of how he's played, but it's like still pretty unlikely. And then he had it, and I thought, okay, I lose the game. You know, I played my little Poro out. I'm like, whatever, you know. I have my Darius, so I'm thinking, okay, you know, if I draw like a Ride the Wind, I have my Darius, maybe I can do something. I top deck Sneaky Deckhand, and I'm like, as soon as I drew it, I'm like, I think I win because I don't think he has a bolt, like a second bolt. So I move my Poro in, he bolts it, I play my Sneaky Deckhand, and as soon as he said yes, I'm like, okay, Darius let it in, and you know, that game I only won because he forgot the arena's greatest trigger. And I had presented that arena in the second game, and I told him, do you want to just both start at 1, right? Like, so we don't have to remember? He's like, no, let's remember. I'm like, okay. So then in game 3, when he presented it, he forgot his own trigger, and he even mentioned in the game, he's like, the reason I like doing that is because I like punishing myself or my opponent, like, you know, if my opponent misses it, it is, but he's like, I like to, if I forget, it's on me, you know, and that's what won me the game, and it's just crazy. Like, it's so many things that game are just insane. Yeah.
I can't imagine how you're feeling in this exact moment. You are competing. You're in a top 4 now for the first ever English Riftbound regional qualifier, and you're not alone, still sporting Annie. You have more to go through. You're still playing for best of prizing here, Diwali, and the only thing I really have to ask is, obviously you're very well known across card game strategy in general. Is this just another day at work for you, or are you also feeling this tension?
I was kind of chill, I'd say like Friday and Saturday, because I showed up with kind of like no expectations. I played like 2 Nexus nights, and then like I started playing Annie on Sunday, and like my friends trying to, like, you know, show me the deck. I had some judge calls game day 1 because I just didn't know how the game worked. Like, I'm reading cards, asking what color certain cards are to the judges because I don't know if they have it or not. And like, you know, that's my day, and then somehow I'm in top 4. You know, I'm just trying to play tight, keep, you know, hopefully drawing well. I drew really well that game, so, you know.
Speaking of playing tight, I know you have more to go through in the rest of the tournament. Congratulations on your top 4 right now, but we're going to send it back, and we have more Riftbound to get through.
Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on the next video, and let us know what you think about that one. Kurwa mać!